Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about dating advice for introverts. So if you're introverted, if you're a bit shy, then this advice is for you, okay, to help you get more matches, to be able to help you find more dating prospects, and to let you have more success when you actually go on those dates as well, if you're a bit shy, if you're introverted, okay? So for the introvert, dating apps and dating websites really are your friend, because obviously, usually with most dating apps, with most dating websites, there's a little bit of correspondence to begin with, right? There's a little bit of texting rather than like in person going up to someone and saying that you like them and asking them out, which is a brave move. And if you can do that, that's great. But if not, and you, which you probably are, if you probably can't do if you're an introvert, then dating apps and dating websites really are your friend. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the first piece of advice that I have. Also, as well with that, when you're downloading these apps, try and get like free, right? Try and get free dating apps and get the free most popular, because usually most of the time, when people get a dating app, they only get one, right? So you could be potentially missing out on so many different prospects because you've only got one dating app, right? And it's the same for them. Like there's lots of women and guys out there that are only using one dating app. So if you get the free most popular, right? Then you'll be able to have you'll just open your horizons so much more to lots of different people. And there may be someone there that you may see duplicates of. You may see some of the same people on the same apps who are doing the same thing. But generally, most people usually only have one dating app. Okay, so try and get about three of the most popular ones. Okay, so then you've got more selection. Okay. So when it comes to being on dates when you're an introvert, the great thing about it is you don't really have to say that much. All you need to do is just ask them questions and get them to talk about their life, right? Because what most people like to do, right? And it's not everyone, because obviously there are people like you that are introverts, but there are also people out there that love to talk about themselves, that love to talk about their life, that love to talk about their interests, right? So all you need to do is just ask them a few good quality questions during that date, and they could be talking to you for hours, right? And I love it when I have like friends or family members that love to talk, because all I need to do is just sit back and just ask them questions here and there, react to what they're saying, like going, oh really, wow, right, wow, how did that make you feel, and oh my god, what happened next? Right? You only need to ask those kinds of questions when someone is really chatty towards you, right? So it's really cool if you could meet someone who is extroverted, right? Because then they will do most of the talking. And you actually see this a lot in couples. There's usually one that's more of the social butterfly, the one that talks more, right? And then there's usually the other one who actually, most of the time, is usually the guy who is a lot more quiet, a lot more stoic, doesn't really say that much, right? And and a lot of people are happy in those relationships because what they do is they kind of complement each other, right? They're not exactly the same in that kind of sense. So they really do kind of complement each other in that way, right? So what you need to be searching for is you need to be searching for someone who is extroverted. Now, it may be the case that you go on a date and you might find that you're actually on a date with a shy person, but, if that's what it is, that's what it is. You can end the date, you don't have to stick around, or maybe things will warm up when you two start getting to know each other better and you start becoming more comfortable around each other. So I'm not saying it's impossible for two shy people to get together, because it can happen, right? But what you should be really aiming for is someone who is extroverted. If you keep on coming into contact with shy people, you should really be trying to find someone extroverted who you don't really have to say much to, because they will talk, right? So that's what you got to really learn about people, is that a lot of people are really selfish, right? They love to talk about themselves, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, that's an amazing thing for someone who's an introvert. Okay. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that they're solely going to talk about themselves. Eventually, they will say something like, "Oh, what do you think about that?" Or "What do you do?" They'll be inquiring about you as well a little bit, right? And you can just say something like, "Oh, yeah, you don't have to explain anything. You don't have to go into like a long monologue about your life. You can just keep it short and brief and to the point and nice and concise, and then you can just ask them another question, right, about themselves." So that's really cool. That all you have to do is just sit back, ask questions, and they'll probably just talk for the whole evening, okay? So don't feel too worried about that kind of thing, okay? So one of the big problems for introverts as well is that sometimes we can, because I'm quite introverted, we can become quite self-conscious, right? And we start worrying about ourselves and how we're coming across on the date, right? Whenever this starts to happen to you, because this is a very common thing with introverts, right? They become very self-conscious. What you're doing then is you're becoming a little bit too self-centered, okay? So what you need to do then is you need to focus on your date, right? Focus on, just keep on asking them questions, asking them about themselves. Stop focusing so much on yourself and focus on them. Stop being so self-conscious and focus really consciously on what they're telling you when they're talking to you. Like really take it in when they're talking to you, and stop thinking so much about yourself and think about the other person, right? And think about what they're saying. You can kind of imagine the things that they're talking about as well, as if it's a story, because that's what I do with my wife. When she comes in and talks to me about her day, one of the things that helps me remain present with her, because my attention span's not great a lot of the time, and sometimes I really just want to focus on watching TV or looking at my phone, and I have to really concentrate on what my wife is saying. Otherwise I'm going to look like I'm just ignoring her or I'm not paying attention to her. Right, so I think it's something that a lot of people suffer with sometimes, that sort of issue. And basically, when she's talking to me, I picture what she's saying in my head, as if it's like a story, right? Because that helps me retain the information, and it helps me really focus on what she's saying instead of focusing on myself and the things that I want to do and the things that I want to do afterwards, or when's dinner going to be ready and that sort of thing, right? Right. So it's a good idea to just really take it in what they're saying, and imagine what they're saying in the the theatre of your mind, the screen of your mind, and sort of picture things basically, because it helps you keep the information in. Okay, so make sure that you're focusing on your date. Don't focus on yourself, focus on them. Okay, and also it's a good idea to not focus on how you're feeling about things. Focus on having a fun experience with someone, because you never know, it might not actually work out with this person you're on a date with. Right, it might not work out with them. So just make it an enjoyable experience for you both, right? Just make it fun and lighthearted, and make sure that you're joking and having a good time. Because sometimes I think so many times we get focused on the outcome. We get focused on, oh, is this going to lead to sex? Is this date going to lead to that? Or is this going to lead to a relationship? Do they like me? Right? Do they feel romantically towards me? Sometimes we can get so focused on that on the date that we're not present, right? And because we're focused on the outcome, we're then not focusing on actually having a good time ourselves, or making it an enjoyable experience for the other person as well, right? So become more outwardly focused rather than inwardly focused, which I know can be difficult for introverts, but it's really important that you do that so you don't come across like you're self-centered, or you don't come across as if you're getting awkward and shy, because sometimes that's what can happen. You can get more awkward if you're more internally thinking and having a little battle with yourself inside your head. So it's a good idea to focus outwardly on the other person and to have a good time with them. Focus on having an enjoyable date, because like I said, you may not actually hang out. This might only be a couple of dates you have with this person. Things might not lead to anything. It might not lead to a relationship. So you might as well just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride and have a good time. Okay, so that's my dating advice for introverts. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.